Hello to everyone! After 5 years of living on a tropical island of the Philippines, I returned to my hometown Kaliningrad. I was born and raised here, studied and worked, got married and divorced. I haven't been at my hometown for 5 years already, and I'm very interested to see how the city and its people have changed during this time. In this video, I visited places dear to my heart, met with the family and friends, and visited the Baltic Sea coast. Upon arrival in Kaliningrad, my friends met me at the airport and took me to meet my mother, whom I had not seen for 5 years. The decision to leave the Philippines and return to home was spontaneous and unexpected even for me, and almost no one knew that I was coming. Already from the car window I saw how much the city had changed over the past 5 years. And it had changed a lot, and these changes had definitely only benefited the city. Many places were hard to me to recognize already. Old wastelands and spontaneous parking places, where previously mostly all sorts of marginal individuals gathered, had turned into cozy park decorated with all sorts of art installations, benches and cozy little cafes. It is really nice to walk in the city center. And what really pleased me as a cyclist was that the cycling community had really grown in the city. Bike paths connected not only all the streets of the city, but also stretched across the entire Kaliningrad region to the Baltic Sea coast and along it. As I can see, a lot of people have begun to switch from stuffy cars to bicycles and scooters. And summer season was also a reason for that. A great place to pedal in the center of city is a place called Upper Pond. There is a boulevard around the lake where you can not only walk with a vanilla coffee in your hands, but also pedal as classic bike along the bike path around the lake, and a cute water bike on the lake itself. On the way to the park there is a so-called flea market, where you can find artifacts left from the World War II, old coins, various old collectible stuff and just all sorts of cute little things. My childhood friend was walking here with his children and I joined them. Not far from the lake there is a park with attractions, cafes and ponds with the carp fishes. That same day I went to private house of another friend of mine, whom I had not seen for many years already. That day he celebrated his birthday with his friends. The guys were preparing classic Russian barbecue on skewers, as well as rice with meat and mutton soup. The guests, heated by the warm summer rays, did funny dancing and singing. And I must say that I had a great time in a good and comfortable but almost unknown to me company. I was very curious to compare the prices for basic products here in Russia with the Philippine prices, and I was really interested to look at the variety of products available for sale here, and that's why I went to the city market with my mom together. Pork steaks on the bone, $4.3 per kilo. Chicken breast on cartilage, $3.8 per kilo. Chicken thigh, wings and drumstick, $3.3 per kilo. Homemade minced beef plus pork, almost $5 per kilo. On average, meat at the market costs 20% less than in the Philippines. As for fish, I think it is useless to compare, because completely different type of fishes. In the Philippines, I most often buy milkfish. This is a white fish and it costs 220 pesos per kilogram. This is around $3.8. As for vegetables, white onions cost from $0.7 per kilo. Old potatoes start from $0.4 per kilo, young potatoes from $1.3 per kilo, carrots and cabbages starts from $1 per kilo. It turns out that vegetables in Russia are 2, 3 or some even 4 times cheaper than in the Philippines. Onions in the Philippines cost 200 pesos per kilo, which is more than $3. And for sure some tropical vegetables like sayote or batat will be cheaper in the Philippines, as well as the tropical fruits like mango. Homemade dumplings at the market here was sold for $5 per kilogram. In the Philippines, guys make the same and sell them for 500 peso per kilogram, which is about $9 US. Well, there is no point of comparing other products like sausages, smoked meats and fish, berries and dairy products, because in the Philippines such things are sold only in the stores with imported goods, and it will cost 4 or 5 times more than here. I can say that Philippines is a cheap country. In general, I was pleased with the range of products at the market and their prices. I especially enjoyed the smoked fish, cheese and berries. I really missed these products during my 5 years of living in Asia. I was also very interested to see how the Baltic Sea coast has changed over the past 5 years. Tourists from all over the country who come to vacation in Kaliningrad region as a rule for a beach holiday go to Svetlogorsk or Zelenogradsk. These are popular tourist coastal cities, always overcrowded by visitors. Prices for everything here is higher because of crowd of tourists, but at the same time it is really nice places. My friends and I went to the village of Yantarny. This village got its name in honor of the sandstone because here at the amber factory 90% of the world's amber reserves are mined. And the white beach with the white sand in this place was awarded by Blue Flag in 2016. The Blue Flag is an international award given every year to beaches and piers, the water in which meets high quality standards and is suitable for safe swimming and beach holidays. In the middle of the white beach there is a deep freshwater lake and a nice wooden promenade right along it. The beach here is truly amazing. And then, 5 years ago, there were a very few people here. We often came here in the summer for the weekend with tents, and the poorly developed public transportation network in that direction in those years limited those crowds of tourists who, due to convenience and accessibility, preferred to go to the above-mentioned Zelenogradsk or Svetlogorsk. And then not much people know about this village. Now I see the situation has changed. Now there are huge crowds of tourists here, and so necessary for any tourist infrastructure has been built up, hotels and resorts, souvenir shops with all kinds of amber products and many cafes and restaurants. The village has already lost the aura of hidden oasis and joined the list of soulless tourist cities of the Kaliningrad region. It is also worth to mention the quarry and the diving center which is located in this village. Here divers will be able to see the underwater forest flooded in the quarry. But still my favorite coastal city of the Kaliningrad region has always been the city of Baltisk. This is the westernmost city in Russia, and Baltisk used to be closed city, where only locals or those with passes were allowed to enter, because a lot of military bases located here. Nowadays, the city is open to everyone. This is not tourist city at all, and when I come back here now, it seems to me that it was stuck in time. Almost nothing has changed here in 5 years. And the weather this time was not at all like summer weather. I was in Baltisk very often. My friends and I always came here to relax with tents or to go fishing. I often came here along as well, to walk and put my thoughts in order. There is long and quite clean sandy beach here. And at the same time, it is not so crowded as in other coastal cities mentioned earlier. And right on the shore, you can collect pieces of amber stones as a souvenir lying around here after another storm. The beach ends with a long pier protecting ships entering the port from the waves. Here on the pier there are always a lot of fishermen, and across the strait you can see the Baltic Sea. By the way, you can cross train by the ferry and take a walk there. But speeds of Kaliningrad region, such as Baltic speed and the Curonian speed, deserve a big separate story. Warmed in this windy summer weather by a feeling of nostalgia and having taken pictures near the monument of Empress Elizabeth, I wandered back to the city, here and there along the way stumbling upon long-abandoned old German defensive structures. And Grandpa Lenin showed me the direction to the bus station. But from the coast, let's return back to Kaliningrad city. Walking around the city, you can easily catch yourself thinking that you are not in Russia at all. as if you are walking in some Czech town or in a city of some other European country. And there is a reason for that, because the Kaliningrad region is not even connected by common borders with the main territory of Russia. You can definitely feel the atmosphere of Europe in the city. After the end of World War II, German Koenigsberg becomes Soviet Kaliningrad. And the city still has many German buildings, defensive structures and forts from those years. Some even keep traces of bullets on their walls, left after the hard siege of Königsberg in 1945. In Kaliningrad there are entire streets consisting of restored old German houses, and people still live in such buildings. Long time ago our family also lived in one of these houses. The old German forts and defensive structures left over from that era are nowadays used in different ways. Some are now museums, others are warehouses or shops, and some are used in a very unusual ways. This is Johnny and Valerie. The guys organize art spaces and hold music events in old abandoned objects from World War II. They rent such places, decorate it and host music and art events, especially raves. Many art-oriented young people who like underground culture gathering here to represent their music, painting or filming. And also underground raves and exhibits are held here. Now as their site they choose so-called astronomical bastion. The astronomical bastion got its name from the old Königsberg observatory founded in 1813 and connected to this bastion. During the battle for Königsberg in 1945, the Wehrmacht command post was located here. And after World War II, during the Soviet era, the astronomical bastion was partially used by the Soviet military as a gathering point for soldiers. Now the bastion ball serves as an open stage for musical and art events. To be honest, coming back to Russia, I was very afraid that during the 5 years of my absence and because of current situation in the world, people here had turned into zombies, blinkered by their ties. But Valerie, Johnny and thousands of others like them that I met on the streets of the Kaliningrad made it clear that despite everything, many people still continue to look informally, to think informally, and they're not shy about expressing themselves in various forms of creativity. Some are involved in music, some in art, some in dancing. I'm very pleased to see that this expression is not shy to going beyond the limits of normality imposed by society. And despite everything, people live, people smile. People wish good morning to each other, ride bicycles and scooters. They visit exhibitions, festivals and various thematic events. By chance, I witnessed one of these events where my friends invited me. After their words about a free ticket for me, my consciousness became blurred and I did not really want to delve into the essence of this event. The main thing is what it was free for me. It was a 2-hour lecture about classic music, ways of constructing sounds in a melody and their varieties, which took place in Caphedral. Not the closest to me, but an interesting topic. Having won a fierce battle with the sleep, which lasted for 2 hours and remembered my student years, I went to a walk with my friends through the evening city. Here around the cathedral there is a park with many squares and benches, many sculptures, art installations, and evening lighting gave a special ambience of calm to this place. A little farther on the bank along the Pregol river there are cafes and restaurants where local people and city visitors can relax. Cathedral is one of the main cultural and historical places of Kaliningrad city. The famous philosopher Immanuel Kant is buried here, the only organ complex in Russia, and the museum named after the great philosopher are located here as well. Tours are conducted here, concerts and festivals are held here, outdoor projects and lectures are organized here. The cathedral was built in the 14th century by decision of the Teutonic Order, but in 1944 it was badly damaged as a result of bombing by the British Air Force and was restored only in 90s. I still remember the times when the cathedral was half destroyed and stood without the roof. The cathedral is located in the center of the city, on the so-called Kant Island. Here the river really did form of island, and crossing the river on the bridge you can get to the area called Fish Village. This is a tourist street with a building imitating one of the streets of Old Königsberg. On this street, the architectural tradition of the old city are reflected in the buildings and pavements, sculptures and street infrastructure. And from the right bank of the river, a great view of the city and the historical building of Kant Island opens up. There are countless souvenir shops, restaurants, hotels and cafes. Animators in 19th century costumes work here, and tours of the city and the region are sold here as well. You can ride a boat on the river here, and newlyweds hang clocks on the bridge across the river as a symbol of the state of their union. Probably somewhere around here my old lock is rusting too. Sasha must be work as a welder. During my 5 years of absence, the city has changed a lot. And if its center is more and more becoming more tourist-oriented with all these parks, cafes, squares, boulevards and art installations. When the wish of many people of other regions of Russia to move to live in Kaliningrad has contributed to the rapid growth of residential areas. Leaving the city center, I can easily get lost in my own city among soulless residential high-rises. And the city expanding more and more, capturing more and more territories. I was glad to finally meet friends whom I haven't seen for a long time already, to walk along the streets I walked alone as a child, to eat food which I have long missed. If only you know how happy I was eating ordinary Russian dumplings with sour cream, meatballs with mashed potatoes made by my mom, Russian herring salad with black bread, and even ordinary carbonated mineral water. But I could not leave the feeling that I had become a stranger at my own home already. My friends looked at me with misunderstanding. What do you do? Where do you work? How is that you have been traveling around the islands for 5 years already? You are 40 years old and you have no family, no children, no car, no job. How can you live like that? Their conclusion about me was clearly visible in their eyes. He's just a bit nuts. And I, in turn, can no longer imagine my life like theirs. What has changed in 5 years for all of those my friends whom I used to communicate before? A new apartment, bigger than previous one. A new car, bigger than previous one. But they still have to sleep on a 2-meter bed as before. They still have to get up at 7 AM to spend the same 30 minutes driving to work, but this time in a new, bigger car. Still drink beer with workmates on Friday in the same way, lie on the couch on Saturday in the same way, and spend Sunday in the supermarket with their wife and kids buying groceries for the next week, exactly the same week as previous one. What does it mean in normal life? Who set these rules of normality and why we should suddenly follow them? Of course you can brush it off saying that everyone has their own idea of normal life, but is it really like that? Society imposes its standards on us. And not everyone can realize that they are not living their own life, but a standardized one imposed from somewhere above. Live your own life and do not live someone else's life. Thank you all and peace to all.